So this is like part 3 of looking at how cameras focus. There's actually going to be, after looking at this bit, I think there's going to be a part 4, because I don't think I should cover zone focusing in this and actual measurements. I think I'll do part 4. So what we look at then is focus screens. And if you don't know what they look like, if I can get this, that's a focusing screen. And what do they do and where do they sit? So I've got a dead contact 159mm here. Basically, as light comes through, it hits the mirror, it shoots up to the top of the pentaprism here, hits the top, bounces off the front, and then fires back out and comes through your viewfinder port. So that's great, but there's no mechanism in there to focus. So the viewfinder, the focus screen sits directly in the path of the light, and you look through it when you look out through the lens. Now, in the early days, it was basically Fresnel and ground glass. And how that works is this: as normal light will come through it, and it diffuses. And if you change the focal length on the camera, it changes the way that the actual light hits the glass and brings it into focus. It de-diffuses it as such. That's how the Fresnel works. And then they moved on from that to using miniature prisms, which you have a thing called a microprism ring that runs around it, and also split prism. And these are all similar systems where the light is coming in, and if it's not in focus, then the image will appear broken up, appear soft, or split, as in the case of a split prism. Now, focus screens were a big part of system cameras, and some of the manufacturers basically, they made loads. I mean, I've got the one for the Contact RTS here. They've got 7 on theirs, but I know Nikon and Olympus is 13, 14 different types. So I'll just run through some basic ones. This is from the Contact RTS, and basically they come in, you get them in little boxes like this, and they come with tweezers and interchangeable focus screens. Yeah, it is a big part of a system camera. Some cameras, a lot of cameras, don't have interchangeable screens. You have to stick with their screen that came with it. But the system cameras, the ones where you can buy more bits and makes more money for the manufacturers, they give you all these options to change your focus screens depending on the use of the camera. So that's a RTS focusing screen. And just a side note, if you ever have an RTS, the later RTS models, the later Contacts have designations like FS and stuff at the front. The original Contact RTS has nothing on it, and the ones from the later RTSs don't fit it. So it's like a bit of a money spinner for the manufacturer, because they can give you a different type of focus screen for each single model that they brought out. That's how system cameras work. It's all about giving you more stuff, but obviously making more money for the manufacturer. So yeah, so inside here, you get a little kit with the tweezers and your screen and instructions, and then you go inside the camera, and there's normally you can't change them on this. Well, you can, but it's really tricky. There's like a lever at the top here, and you pull that down, your focus screen drops, then you use the tweezers. You never touch them and don't clean them. Well, you sort of can clean them, but you have to know what you're doing when you do clean them. You can like blow air on them and stuff, because if the moment you touch them, it changes the diffusion on the surface, so obviously they look bad. Then you use these tweezers to pull it out, put it down, pick up your new one, pop it in, and push back up the capture mechanism, and then you change your focus screen. Anyway, I'll go through some of the standard ones. So you get a microprism screen, and that's the one with the sparkly bit in the middle, and that's tiny prisms, and obviously when the light hits those and it's out of focus, it sparkles. It's like glitter, and then as you focus in, the glitter disappears and you get your image. And then you've got one of the ones you're probably quite familiar is split image. Basically, that's 2 prisms. Now, when they're out of focus, obviously the image appears to you misaligned, and then as you crank into focus, it slides together and you get a perfect image. Now, what they do is they have a couple of types of split image. They either do it across, that's the standard one, or they do a diagonal, because obviously if you're lining up focus on a wall or something that's actually flat, it can be quite tricky. I quite like the diagonals because you can get that onto anything. So yeah, and then around that you'd have this one here, split image microprism collar. So you've not just got, you've got a matte screen that comes into focus, you've got a microprism collar that comes into focus, and you've got your split. So you've basically got 3 aids in that single screen to help you get it into focus. Split image without the microprism, horizontal split image. So you've got a split image that way, split image that way, split image diagonally as well. Matte screen. Now, matte screens don't have the split image. There is an issue with split image at certain apertures. I think it's slow lenses, 5.6 and up. What happens is they black out. So I get this a lot. A lot of people really like matte because matte just focuses and it pops. It's called like focus snap. All of a sudden, it will actually pop into focus on a matte screen. With split image, you get this problem with slower lenses where the top half blacks out, and you can still focus it, but it's quite tricky. I had a problem with one of my contact lenses where the aperture jammed, and I couldn't work out why the top was black all the time. It's actually this lens has been repaired, and it was because it was sort of the blades wouldn't come down past 5.6. So split image doesn't work for everybody. I like split image. Matte screen used to be standard in a lot of cameras, and then you get into all the weird ones. You get sectional matte screens, you get cross scale matte screens. So some of these cameras were used for scientific uses and things like that. So the manufacturers designed matte screens for literally focus screens for every single purpose you can imagine. And there's tons out there. I mean, that's a Leica one. That's for an what's that one? That's for an R camera, R4, and it's micro prism. So yeah, because I mean, a lot of the time when you buy these cameras, you get them and they have either the default one in or someone switched it out for the one that they like. So I went through years, about a year nearly, to try and get split image for my RTS cameras, because I think the RTS cameras came out, my contact RTSs came out with purely matte screens, and I wear glasses. I find it harder to focus on matte screens than I do with split, so I had to look around, and they're quite rare. So obviously it's quite interesting when you buy a camera, and if you want split, a split prism, then ask the eBay buyer or whoever it is you're buying what's in it, because with RTS, the original RTS, it's incredibly hard to get hold of the focus rings. It is for some of the others as well, actually. I had to hunt around to get one of these, which was the R4, because that came with matte as well. So that's basically how that little bit works. It's in the camera, and you can change them, and that's how you focus with them. They're very accurate. Obviously, you can have slight problems in night because there's no illumination, so that's harder to do possibly at night with them. But then you use other focus methods. Now, I mean, while this is why I'm not going to do zone focus, because I was going to talk about something else that's very interesting on cameras at this point. So as we've now shot our image up through the prism and out, the sort of most important part for a user is the viewport, is where you look through the camera. Now, this isn't as simple as it seems. There's 2 or 3 major factors that come into play with the viewport here. There's magnification, there's coverage, and there's a thing called high point or high point. And what does that mean? Magnification is the amount that basically the image is magnified that you see, and coverage is how much of the image that's going to be on the film is appearing in the viewfinder. And high eye point, I think that's right, is how far away you can look through the camera and see the full distance. The distance you can look through the camera and you can see the full focus screen. Okay, high eye point or high point came in later on. It's not been built into sort of some of the earlier cameras. And this is really for people who wear glasses like me. So I'll deal with the eye point part first, and then we'll jump back into magnification and coverage. So I wear glasses, and basically what I want to do is pick up my camera, and I want to do it with my glasses. I want to do it quickly. Now I've got a FX3 Super Yashica, and as I look through with my glasses, I can't see it. I cannot see it. My glasses are now rammed up to the viewfinder. I cannot see the full image. If I take my glasses off, crush my head against the actual view, I can see everything. Now, Nikon, I think, were one of the Nikon Contact were really good with this. I've got a f100 over here, and basically this has a brilliant finder. So if I've got my glasses on, if I look, yeah, so I'm about here, and I can see everything with my glasses on. Now, obviously they're built in diopters to help with this issue, but it's great. Not all cameras have diopters, but this eye point thing came really into play. So you can actually, like this is MZ, this has got a diopter built in as well. But you find on earlier cameras, like this FX3, you can't, there's no diopter, you cannot, it's a sort of a stepping off point between less expensive cameras and more expensive cameras. What's it like on this? Yeah, contacts, pretty much all my contacts, I think, go back here, have really good viewing capability. It's sort of a difference to the RX. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, miles away. Yeah, so it's one of those sort of like quality moments with cameras. Nikon did it. I'm sure a lot of the Canons have got it. I think the more consumer versions don't have that eye point part. Now back to magnification and coverage. So what that means, obviously, the magnification pulls the image up and you see more of it. So you don't see a true representation of what you're looking at. And then you've got the coverage. Now, most professional cameras try and go for 100% coverage, so you see the full image. If you look at cheaper cameras or consumer cameras, they're not too bothered. They don't do it quite so well. I think the one that people talk about, the one I've got an example of is the Nikon N55. And basically, okay, so let's have a quick look at some specs. Say Contact RTS, what you're looking for is a high magnification and good image coverage when you look at these cameras. So, but there's a battle. You can't have both. You can't have 100% of image, 100% image like 1:1, and you can't have 100% coverage. Just doesn't work. There's something engineering thing because it doesn't focus properly. It's like makes it harder to focus, and they need to be incredibly bright as well. So there's a balancing act. So you really want either 100% coverage and over 0.8 because it's done from like 0.5 is half, 1 is 1. So you want high magnification, so like 0.8, 0.75 and 100% coverage. What you don't want is something that's got like the Nikon N55, which has 0.6 magnification and 89% image coverage. There's a quote online that said it was like looking through the Lincoln Tunnel when you look through the viewfinder on it. So just give you roll off some numbers for you of magnifications of high-end cameras. So a Minolta Maxim 9, the one that I use quite a lot, has 0.73 magnification and 100% image coverage. Contact Aria, this is great. Apparently that's a really good one. Contact Aria is 8.2 magnification and 95% image coverage. So that's really like it's really close to what you're seeing. Plus you can see nearly everything. So I mean, what else we got here? Leica R9. Basically you've got 0.75, that's fine, and 97% coverage. So you can see it's sort of like, it's a balancing. Nikon FM, 0.86 magnification, 93% image coverage. So you're looking for like the high in both. It does matter because I mean you spend most of your time looking through that thing and you want a nice clear image. I think when Olympus introduced the OM1, that thing is incredible. It doesn't have, it's too early for high eye point, high point. That viewfinder, if you look through an OM1 camera or an M1 camera, is amazing. It's literally like looking at like a cinema scope to look at. It's just such a bright, vibrant, and so clear. So no wonder they became so popular. Because obviously, you know, as I just said, it's where you spend your life looking through this viewfinder. So yeah, so when you look at these cameras and you want to go and buy them, and you can't work out what, you know, is it right for you? You've looked at all the rest of the specs. You know, it's a Nikon. It takes Nikon lenses. have a look at things like this. Can I change the focus screens? Yes. And then have a look at that part. Have a look at its, if you can find the details on it. And you wear glasses, obviously. If you don't wear glasses, it doesn't matter. You know, what's the high up? Can I take photographs with my glasses on? Does it have a diopter? And then obviously as well, the viewfinder. If you end up with a camera with a tiny viewfinder, you know, it's problematic. Obviously now we've got, you know, autofocus, and it's not as important. But I mean, here we go, back to my K1. My K1, you know, doesn't, I can't remember what the specs are for this, but it is a beautiful, it's a good experience to look through. And even though, I mean, as we move away, all this will go, as we move away to mirrorless cameras, and we remove the whole pentaprism thing here, and you're looking at you know, screens and stuff like that, this sort of system will sort of go by the by. But I mean, I still like looking at a real image when I take a photograph. You know, there's something about it. It's like you're capturing reality, so you want to look at it when you take the picture. I've always found it hard to look through digital displays. Mind you, because I've been doing this for so long, they were atrocious when we first got those, you know, LED displays to look through on cameras without prisms. But now they've got much better, and they are really good. But still, you know, there's something about it. So yeah, so when you, as I said, when you're buying these cameras, the old vintage ones, have a look at the viewfinder spec. Basically, you know, very popular FX3 Super 200. I don't know what the magnification is inside it, but you know, it's a, you know, you can't shoot it with glasses, no diopter, things like that. So the last thing you want to do is buy one of these cameras, get it, and you'll know. You'll try and start to shoot with it, and you'll sort of feel that this isn't working for me. Anyway, so the last video I'm going to do about this is zone focusing and measuring. I hope that's been informative. It's an important part of the camera, the viewfinder, incredibly important, and it's one of those hidden, I don't know how to describe it. It's one of those sort of things, you know, that you'll get on with the camera the moment you put it up to your eye, and all the other specs go out the window, because if it's not comfortable to shoot with and it doesn't work for you, then you just won't use it so much, and you'll feel there's something wrong with it. There's probably nothing wrong with the camera. So spend some time, you know, when you go to these sort of like flea markets and you buy second-hand cameras, you get the chance to pick up, look through the viewfinder. It's really important. Anyway, hope that's useful. Thanks for watching.